What is going on, guys? My name is Taylor Stuber, and I'm here to break down this 9-game NBA slate on FanDuel, Draftkings, and of course, the sponsor of the video, PrizePicks.com. We've been having a good time over there, but man, I hope you guys had a great Christmas day. I know I did. Got a bit of extra sleep last night and today after a long day, but ready to roll today. Things are back on track. If you guys want to join and get all my content for completely free, the links are all in the description. I highly suggest joining that Discord. We're almost at 700 people in there. I post my team by team notes, my cheat sheets, player pools. Eventually, I'll add my projections in there. And then I live stream an hour before. Oh, also, I provide my full FanDuel lineup over there, which since the beginning of preseason, I believe we've only lost 2 or 3 times. So if you guys don't have much time in the day to make your own lineups on FanDuel, I make sure to give you guys exactly what I'm doing over there. And then I do live stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/Taylor Stuber, an hour before lock, answering all your guys' questions. And that's what differentiates myself from everybody else. I do go over a quick rundown, but I make sure to get to almost every single question posted in there. So I'm really trying to help you guys out. Hope you guys show up. And then if you guys want to enter my giveaway, it's very, very important to subscribe here, like this video, and then comment below with your favorite play of the day. I will be doing that giveaway tomorrow. So this is the last day to enter for that $25 via PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, whatever it may be. I like giving back to you guys because you guys have been showing so much support and love towards myself, helping grow this community, which it's been growing, and it feels good to do so. But let's just jump right into the slate. We got 9 games. So we will start off with the Oklahoma City Thunder versus the Charlotte Hornets at 217.5 over/under. The lowest on the slate, or one of the lowest. The next game is the lowest. The Hornets are currently 2.5 point favorites. Ariza, he's still not with the team as of right now, so I'm assuming he's out. Theo Maledon is also out. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander last year without Paul and Schroeder on the court, 32.1% usage rating, 38.3% assist percentage, averaged 1.26 fantasy points per minute, on pace to play 36 minutes in the preseason. If you looked at those games, 8,300. I don't think he's that bad of a price. He was a lot cheaper. I believe he was 7,500 that last time out. Didn't end up getting to play, but an increase of $800 over there. I think he's a fine play, but with the recent Rockets news, it's going to be hard to get to these guys in the 8K range, maybe outside of Sabonis. But Al Horford, one of my favorite plays on the slate, 6.1K. He's a 25% usage rating, averaging 1.61 fantasy points per minute in the preseason. Last year, when at the 5 without Embiid and Simmons, he averaged 1.11 fantasy points per minute. So he's clearly a much better NBA player and fantasy player when playing at the 5 rather than the 4, which is what we're going to see from him. I would also add Darius Bazley and George Hill to my player pools today on both sides. Move over to the Charlotte Hornets. So Cody Zeller's out. He got injured in that last game. He's going to be out for the foreseeable future. And without him and positive coach speak from Borrego, it looks like Bismack Biyombo is going to be the starter. Biyombo is only, pull up Charlotte. He is only 3.6K over here. So I think he's going to be a very, very chalky play. He's going to be in an expanded role this game. Biyombo averaged 0.88 fantasy points per minute last year. Yeah, like I say, he's going to be very, very chalky. We saw that PJ Washington, in the offseason, Borrego said they want to see him a lot of the minutes at the 5 as well. So he should continue to start at the 4, get back up 5 minutes, even more so now, with no Cody Zeller, them being pretty thin in that front court. But interesting that he was benched for the last 17.5 minutes of that last game. And the game was close. So they closed with Graham, Rozier, Hayward, Bridges, and Cody Martin that game. I don't think they want to push Biyombo past 24-26 minutes. So I think he's a decent play, but now that the Houston value's out there, I think they are better value plays than him. But pairing those values with Biyombo, you can get to a lot of these studs like Harden, who's going to be a must play today. Hayward, Rozier, and Graham, I think their minutes are pretty secure today. They played 36 to 37 minutes, all 3 of those guys in that first game. And then everybody else on the team was below 24 minutes. So that makes me believe that I really just want to be interested in Bismack Biyombo. And then they raised the prices on all these guys. I like Hayward the most. He was second on the team in usage, right behind Terry Rozier. But I don't think Rozier's usage is something to count on every single game. He was very, very efficient when he was out there, and he just kept firing because of it. He was a must-play on FanDuel for me at 4.6K, ridiculous price tag. But at least over here on DraftKings, they raised his price to $7,000. It's a bit too expensive for me. Move over to the Cleveland Cavaliers versus the Detroit Pistons. So Kevin Porter Jr., Delvedova, Windler, they're all out. Love and Exum should be returning this game throughout the day. They are expected to play. Drummond, weirdly enough, was benched the last 6 minutes of the first half, which was really frustrating for me due to a couple of really bad plays and turnovers. It wasn't even foul trouble. They just benched him. So 9,200, a guy that can get benched for something so simple as that. Yeah, I'm off of Andre Drummond. Kevin Love coming back, 6,500. I think he's a decent GPP play because we know how active he is out there on the court. He's going to lead this team in usage more than likely. But he should be somewhat limited. I only expect him to play probably 28, 30 minutes. Good match against the Detroit Pistons. But yeah, this team overall is priced as if Kevin Love is out. So like Garland got a huge price hike at like 1,500 for him. Nance, Sexton, Drummond. I mean, Nance not even in consideration with Kevin Love returning. So I'm not interested in this team at all. And then Detroit Pistons, pretty similar situation. Not that interested in them. They're completely healthy. One guy that I am interested in somewhat is Mason Plumlee at 4,800. Him and Okafor split pretty much all the minutes except one. Plumlee played 32 minutes, Okafor 15. Plumlee has averaged 1.03 fantasy points per minute since last year. So if we're going to get him at 32 or playing 32 minutes at 4,800, averaging over a fantasy point per minute, yeah, that's one of the better value plays on the slate. And I have not heard anybody talking about him so far. So I do like him at 4,800. DraftKings, FanDuel, he's a pretty good play as well. Magic versus the Wizards at 231.5 over under. Wizards are 2-point favorites. We're really gonna have to monitor the Wizards news throughout the day, but James Ennis continues to be out for this Magic team. Aaron Gordon, again, just like last time, is one of my favorite GPP plays. They barely budged his price. He was in severe foul trouble last time out. And missed out on a potential 6 to 8 plus minutes. He could have played a lot more. He continued his preseason success with a 27.2% usage rating and averaged 1.39 fantasy points per minute in those 26 minutes. Now he gets a pace-up spot against the Washington Wizards at 6.9K. Move over here to FanDuel to take a look at him. 6.9K. Now, obviously, I like Christian Wood quite a bit more at this point with the Rockets news. But Aaron Gordon at 6.9K, one of the better plays on this slate. Absolutely love him today. Move over to the Washington Wizards. Rui Hachimura is out. Westbrook and Bertans are both questionable. We need to really monitor this. Luckily enough, it is the first slate of games on the slate with those 6 p.m. Central Time games. They are probably going to miss today's game or tomorrow's game. They are on a back-to-back. They said that they've been thinking about resting Westbrook on back-to-backs. Bertans was limited to just 20 minutes that last time out. Beal, Brown, and Ish Smith would benefit the most if those guys are out. Bryant would have played 6 more minutes in the first half if it weren't for foul trouble. 31-minute projection for Thomas Bryant, but they did raise his price again to 6.7K. He's pretty affordable over on FanDuel. Much better matchup this time out against Orlando rather than Joel Embiid and the 76ers. Come over here at FanDuel, 5.2K for Thomas Bryant. He was third on the team in usage. Westbrook got a triple-double that last game out, and I was saying this a lot before, and right when they got Westbrook, he's going to be doing that a lot this year. He's one of the better fantasy players to have this year. Beal had a 35.3% usage rating, Westbrook 33%, and then Thomas Bryant third on the team with 23.2%. Everybody else on that team was pretty negligible. So outside of those guys, unless Bertans and Westbrook are missing time, I'm not really interested in this team. Move over to the 76ers versus the New York Knicks. A 215.5 over-under. 76ers are currently 8.5 point favorites. The Sixers are healthy. Milton closed the last 17.5 minutes over Danny Green. With all the studs playing yesterday, Embiid is the highest projected player on the slate, dependent on Harden news. But now that we got Harden healthy and ready to go this game, I'm not going to be playing James Harden unless you are playing Harden and Embiid, which is definitely possible with all the value on the slate. But if I'm playing one stud tonight, it's going to be Harden. If you want to get off of him because you don't think that Harden's going to try, or for whatever reason, my pivot down would be to Joel Embiid. Led that team in usage yesterday and in minutes, which was good to see from Joel. But they just need this game to be somewhat competitive for Joel to pay off that price tag, and they just raise the prices a ton on guys like Shake Milton, 5.5K. Now, if he was more in that 4K range like he was last time, I would be interested in, but that's pretty much it for the 76ers. Move over to the New York Knicks. Austin Rivers, Spellman, they're out. Toppin and Quickly are both doubtful, which were like the two next to Alec Burks. Those were the two guys off the bench that were really involved in this team. Quickly was the direct backup for Peyton, so expect some more minutes from Dennis Smith Jr. and Frank Ntilikina behind Peyton. But I think more so than anything, it just secures the minutes for Elfrid Payton, 6.1K. If we knew this game was going to be competitive with Quickly out, I would expect him to play 32, 34 minutes, which would be a pretty solid play. We know that he averages over a fantasy point per minute. Robinson and Noel were both in severe foul trouble, both of them in that first quarter and second quarter. So it led to Randall playing a lot of minutes at the 5, which I think is something that they want to do when they get the opportunity to. But I wouldn't expect it to happen nearly as much as it did that last time. That also allowed Toppin to get extended minutes at the 4, but he's doubtful. I don't think he plays. But, yeah, it doesn't get much better in this matchup against the 76ers with Joel Embiid. I'm not expecting Robinson and Noel to get in foul trouble again, but they struggled last game, and Embiid's not going to help that situation out. I do think that from this team, the only guy I'm really interested in is maybe Alec Burks at 5.6K. I think he's a pretty decent GPP play. It's just given on how often he's going to be shooting when he's out there. Move over to the Pacers and the Bulls at 222.5 over under. Pacers are currently 5-point favorites. Lema and Bataze are out again. They're running a really tight 9-man rotation. Sabonis played 36 minutes, a 31.2% usage rating, 19.4 total rebound percentage, 20.8% assist percentage, averaging 1.58 fantasy points per minute in that first game. It looks like he's taking his game to the next level. He keeps getting better and better every single year. And even with Miles Turner playing minutes at the 5, Sabonis is just playing out of his mind right now, and he gets an amazing matchup against the Chicago Bulls. We know that we like to target their front court of Lauri Markkanen and Wendell Carter Jr. And so I think the route that I'm personally going today is going to be matching Harden and Sabonis with Christian Wood, and then getting some value plays out there. I think that he is a very, very good fantasy player, and actually he might be too cheap at 8.5K. I think by the end of the year, or even in the months coming, we are going to see him near that 10K range, just because he's going to play the most minutes on this team next to Malcolm Brogdon. And yeah, those rates, he should lead his team in pretty much every single rate outside of assist percentage, where he's going to be second. So absolutely love Domantas Sabonis today. And then Brogdon last game played 34 minutes with a 21.3% usage rating, 32% assist percentage, and a 1.6 fantasy points per minute. He's 7.4K. Like his price a bit more over on FanDuel, but I think that if he's like your last guy and you have 7,400 or something like that, Brogdon would be my guy. Move over to the Chicago Bulls. Thaddeus Young is out. Levine was in severe foul trouble the entire game, and then the game ended up blowing out. So he didn't end up playing all that many minutes, but when he was out there, like we saw in the preseason, just hogs the ball. A 38.8% usage rating when he was out there on the court. Now, I think he's a bit too expensive at 8.9K over here on DraftKings, but on FanDuel, he's only 7.5K. So I do like his price over on FanDuel a lot more than DraftKings. And then if you guys just talk about price picks for a bit, I already gave the plays out in the in the Discord, but I do like the over on Levine and Sabonis in this game. You compare him with two other guys that I liked. If I can find those guys, I think they were near the top. Aaron Gordon, I like the over at 33.5, and Al Horford, the over at 31.5. So if you pick those 4 players, you can 10x your money over on Prize Picks. Remember, use code Taylor, TAYLOR. That really helps me out. The Discord, or the link is in the description for Prize Picks, but really good site to play over there. And then we'll move over to Patrick Williams. He started and closed the game in the blowout, team high 33 minutes. So I think that regardless of the situation, Patrick Williams is going to be playing like 32 minutes a game. He was minimum price last time out. We don't get that luxury again, but today he's 4,500. So I still think that there's value in that price, assuming, or as long as Thaddeus Young is out and he's starting, because whether the game blows out or it's competitive, he's going to play 32, around that 32-minute mark. Now we got the Toronto Raptors and the San Antonio Spurs. 228 over under. Raptors are 2-point favorites. McCaw is out this game, but they're healthy for the most part. Van Fleet missed. This was another thing that was just really frustrating for me. A guy that never gets in foul trouble, but Van Fleet missed 6 to 8 minutes in the first half due to foul trouble, and in the last minute due to a blowout. But it looks like Van Fleet, Siakam, and Lowry are a bit too cheap on FanDuel, appropriately priced on Draftkings. So not that interested in these guys at this price. But on FanDuel, I think that Van Fleet is 6.9K. I think he's a little too cheap. Move over to the Spurs. Derek White is out, which helps the likes of DeJounte Murray and Lonnie Walker especially. Murray played 30 minutes that last time out with a 24.6% usage rating, 40.9% assist percentage, 10% total rebound percentage, 1.5 fantasy points per minute. And like I said in my stream before, he was one of my favorite plays on the slate. We got him at 5.6K. I said he was a triple-double threat when he was out there. He was close to getting it. If he got a couple more minutes, it was definitely viable. This over-under is on the rise. He's really the only guy that I'm interested in. They played a short 9-man rotation, but the minutes were really spread out between those nine players. So the guys off the bench were playing like 18, 20 minutes rather than like low 10 minutes, like 10, 12 minutes. And so we weren't getting that big of minutes out of these guys. I think Keldon Johnson, it looks like he's continuing what we saw from the bubble, $5,000. I think he's a solid play. Move over to the last 3 games of the slate. Minnesota Timberwolves versus Utah Jazz. Try to knock these games out really quick. I know you guys don't have the most time in the day to watch these videos, but a 228.5 over-under. Jazz are 9-point favorites. Wolves, they're healthy. Russell came off the bench. He played 33 minutes with a 21.9% usage rating, 22.2% assist percentage, average 1.01 fantasy points per minute. I expect those rates to all rise moving forward, but 7.7K in a rough matchup against Utah Jazz is a bit too much for me. But something interesting was Malik Beasley. We know when he came over to the Timberwolves, the last 14 games, he was averaging over 20 real points a game. Really took over for this team. And it continued in the first game. He missed a couple minutes in the first half due to foul trouble, but he had a team-high 33.3% usage rating when he was out there on the court. So I think he's one of the better GPP plays, because if moving forward, he's going to be the man out there next to Karl Anthony Towns, especially in that starting lineup with Russell coming off the bench, and he's going to play around 30 minutes at 5.8K. We could see later in the season that price being higher. So at 5.8K, I think he's one of the better GPP plays. Going to be pretty low owned. Towns was also in foul trouble pretty much all game, and then missed a lot of minutes near the end as well. So Towns, I think, is more than likely going to be playing like 34, 36 minutes rather than what we saw that first game. The Utah Jazz, another team that's completely healthy, so it's hard to find value on here. Starters missed 3 to 4 minutes due to the blowout of that first game. Gobert and Favors didn't play next to each other like we saw in the preseason. I would like Favors a bit more if that were the case, but if he's only going to be backing up Gobert at 4.1K, I'm not that interested in him, although he did have a pretty high usage rating while he was out there. Bogdanovic was on pace to play 36 minutes if it wasn't due to that blowout at 5.9K. If this game is competitive and he plays 36 minutes, he's over a fantasy point per minute player. So getting 34, 35 fantasy points out of Bogdanovic would be pretty solid at 5.9K. Now, the game that matters the most, the Houston Rockets versus the Portland Trail Blazers. At 226 over-under, Blazers are 7.5 point favorites, and actually it went from 8.5 to 7.5. So money is coming in on the Houston Rockets. So yeah, John Wall, Gordon, Cousins, McLemore, Martin, Clemens, they are all out this game. They are very thin. They have not many players on this team right now. I believe they have 8 active players. It might be 9. Harden last year, and Harden is good to go. So you just play Harden, and you figure out the rest of your lineup. James Harden last year without Westbrook on the court in 1,306 minutes, 41.5% usage rating, 45.4% assist percentage, average 1.81 fantasy points per minute. Absolute lock for me. And with all the studs playing yesterday, we just don't have very many studs on the slate as it is, and then we get the premier number 1 stud that you could possibly have, Harden by himself. So easy to play him, especially with all the value, especially in this game too. Christian Wood, he's a lock on every site. He's only 5.9K over here. I wish he was center and forward eligible, but I mean, that's just me being greedy. 5.9K, absolute lock. Over here on FanDuel, he is 6.7K, absolute lock. I have him projected for 43 fantasy points to this game, and I feel that could actually be a bit too low. Daniel House and Sterling Brown are both top tier value plays in my opinion on this slate. We get Daniel House at 4.7K, and we get Sterling Brown at a whopping 3.2K. He's going to play big minutes today. Both these guys I expect to play over 30 minutes, and at these prices, it's hard for me to get away from them. And then on the other side, a team that I'm not really interested in at all, Zach Collins is out. McCollum and Lillard played 33 and 34 minutes despite the blowout. Looks like they're slowly bringing Nurkic along because we saw that he didn't play very many minutes in the first half. He wasn't in foul trouble. And then Cantor ended up playing 16.5 minutes, mostly due to the blowout in the second half. So you might have seen Enes Kanter's minutes, but I would not be expecting that in this game unless you're predicting a blowout. So the last game of the slate, and it's one of the higher over-unders on the slate, but I'm not going to have all that much from for the Suns versus the Kings, 228 over-under. Suns are 3.5 point favorites. Suns, Dario Saric is out again. Ayton was in severe foul trouble that first game, but he had a 24.1% usage rating, a 19 total rebound percentage while he was out there. The second half, he was very good. And you could almost say he was the focal point on the offense. I know a lot of us were in the in-game streams watching it. But I think he's a good value over there on FanDuel. He's around that 7K range. And then Mikal Bridges, one last thing to note is that he played a team-high 36 minutes. But they did raise his price to 6.1K over here on FanDuel. I actually didn't check just yet how many minutes. Yeah, he's 5.3K. So they raised his price a bit too much for my liking. And then we'll move over to the Kings, the last team of the slate. They're healthy, but my favorite play from this team in this game overall is going to be Bagley. He missed 4 to 5 minutes in regulation due to foul trouble, was on pace to play around 30. So we know they were slowly bringing him along, but if he's going to play around 30 minutes, assuming that he's out of foul trouble and this game is competitive, I think that he's priced appropriately, I guess, at 5.7K, but there's a ton of upside in that price. We saw that he was more in that 7K range last year when he was fully healthy. He had a 25.8% usage rating in the first game. He had about the same usage last year over the course of an entire season, and he averaged 1.07 fantasy points per minute. I think he's a pretty solid value across the board. But again, guys, I will be live streaming an hour before lock over on twitch.tv/Taylor Stuber. Make sure to follow me over there if you haven't already. And then the Discord, very important to join the Discord. We're at almost 700 members in there, just growing community. My team notes and everything will already be posted over there by the time that you're watching this video. So that's all up and free to for your reading pleasure. But I appreciate you guys watching this video. I'll see you guys later. Best of luck, and until next time, peace.